not yoga specific class? Well, that's because I haven't been here in about 5 weeks. But I am back, and this is Conscious Endurance. If you don't know what that is, go check out consciousendurance.com. It is a community that'll take you to a little platform that is a community of people who want to live a healthy, active 100+ years. I am one of them. So it's super cool and it's fun, and people are doing yoga, they're going for bike rides, they're going for hikes, they're doing marathons and half marathons and ultra marathons, and ultimately the goal is not just to get to 100, but it's to crush the finish line at 100 and be able to run a half marathon at 100 years old. So without further ado, I typically go on and talk for, about 15 to 25 minutes each week and talk about a topic that you guys or people from that community or Facebook fans and friends or Instagram fans and friends or YouTube fans and friends ask about. I usually give it. So this month is November, and this is all about dealing with stress. So we've had a lot to deal with over the course of the past 4 years, I guess, depending on how far you go back, but at least the last 6 or 7 months with the pandemic, and then the civil unrest, and then the election, and all kinds of different things. So this is the first episode, let's call it episode 14, but it's the first episode. And so my question to you first is, have you ever dealt with any kind of stress in your life that came about from a place that you didn't realize it was going to come from? Whack! Like, did you get slapped in the face by some sort of unknown stress? I assume the answer is yes. And for me, same thing. All of a sudden you go, wait a second, I did not expect that to be there. And it's challenging because you have to completely shift your mind and shift your focus and then go, wait a second, can I handle this? Do I have the capability? Well, today I'm going to share with you a few things that will help you increase your capabilities, increase your toolbox of dealing with the unknown. And this is partly inspired by you, but partly inspired by an article I read recently in the New York Times about building your mental endurance like a pro. And they interviewed a guy named Conrad Anker, and they interviewed another endurance athlete. Conrad Anker's a very famous climber, mountaineer guy, and another ultramarathoner or something like that. And as an adventure racer, ex-adventure racer, almost current endurance athlete, Ironman, Leadville, but adventure racing was the thing that sort of put me on my own map as an endurance athlete, and I got to really understand what it's like to train. And as you continue up these switchbacks on a bike, for instance, and then you turn around that next hill and you think, oh, that's it, because I can see the sky. And then you get around that next hill, and then there's another little hill to go up, and then another little hill to go up. And it took me years to finally get my brain to stop latching on and attaching itself to the end. And this is what they talk about. And since the country, the world is kind of in this situation now, coronaviruses, if you're watching this, anytime relatively, now or soon after, coronaviruses are spiking. And so what do? We don't know. Do you have a job? Do you not have a job? Right? Is it going to change? Is it going to go back? Oh, this is my lovely yoga studio, and we've been shut down basically since March. We opened up from June to July, but now we've been shut down, and it doesn't look like we're going to be able to reopen until I don't even know when, maybe next spring if we're lucky, who knows. And in the article, so it's tough, right? It can be tough out there. And in the article, they talk about three sort of main, I did a post about this yesterday, but three main things: pacing yourself, creating mini goals, and creating structure. So I'll just talk about those quickly. Pacing yourself, like I just mentioned, in those little switchbacks going up and down, whether you're doing an ultramarathon or whether you're living through a pandemic, since we don't know the finish line, we have to suspend our attachment to what's next. And that can be one of the most challenging things, because we want, the mind's job is to just attach. I want to know, just let me know. That was it. You know, my mom used to get sick on a regular basis, sadly, before she passed away. And sometimes they would take her to the hospital. She'd be there for a couple days, and then she'd get out. And then over the weekend, I'd get a message, oh yeah, mommy was in the hospital. I'm like, what? What if something went wrong? I want to know. I'm the kind of person that wants to know. Let me deal with the emotions that go along with knowing. But, you know, whatever, my dad and my brothers, they were like, oh, Teddy's on the other side of the country. Let's not let him worry. But that's part of the mind, right? The mind wants to know so that it can then start to figure out how to deal with it, how to reconcile it, and how to handle it. Pacing yourself gives you this opportunity to suspend belief for a moment and go, okay, I don't know when it's going to end. I remember sitting next to a, they go on all of the raids. So like Osama bin Laden raid, it's some kind of swimmer. Oh my gosh, he's a military guy, an army swimmer, but there's a specific name. Anyway, so I asked this guy, I said, so you could basically swim forever? He goes, yeah, pretty much. I was like, he goes, yeah, at least for a couple days, a few days if he needed to. And to get to that point, so you could probably walk for a lot longer than you could run. But if you pace yourself and just take a nice little pace, then you're going to be able to get further. You're going to be able to reach farther. Creating these mini goals. So it's funny, I was just listening to an audio book, and they were mentioning Touching the Void. If you haven't seen Touching the Void, it's a great movie to watch. I highly recommend it. Sadly, it's like a whole big mess, and this one guy basically set these goals. It's a climbing, mountaineering movie, and the guy comes down, and they thought he was dead, and he wasn't. And he comes down, he got a broken leg, and this and that, and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. But he set goals. Okay, in 20 minutes, I'm going to get there. In 20 more minutes, I'm going to get to the next one. In 20 more minutes. So you chunk things out. And that's really a good way to deal with the unknown. Something happens, you don't know what you need to do, and you can just go, wait, one step at a time. Let's slowly talk about that with work. For people who are busy, give things to people who are busy, because that's what they're doing. They're chunking their time away. And then creating structure, similar, just kind of piggybacks on the same idea. Create structure. If you know, and during a pandemic, that's hard, especially if you've lost your job and you don't have your routine. One of the reasons why I started streaming on a regular basis, I thought, wait a second, people are coming to yoga on a regular basis, and now all of a sudden they're not going to have a yoga class to come to. I wanted to give them the opportunity to practice yoga on a daily basis. And for me too, I wanted to have a place to go, and I wanted to have a time to show up. And I think that's really important. So creating structure. So those are the three main things they discuss in the article. I felt like it was really important to add three more. And those are: believe in yourself, trust in the universe, totally different things, and then understanding that this too shall end, shall pass, shall end, right? But belief in yourself is one of the most important things that we all can do. And I don't believe that we all believe in ourselves enough, and I'm totally guilty of this. And, you know, I do things and I go, wow, I never thought I could do that before. Well, why not? Right? And it's important to just give yourself a little kind of boost. And if you don't need to, if you can't do it yourself, I'll do it for you. I'll give you a little boost. But believe in yourself that you will be able to get through whatever comes your way, because you're not the first person to have to cut your arm off. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you. But you're not the first person to have someone die close to you. You're not the first person to go through a breakup. You're not the first person to go bankrupt. You're not the first person to lose a job. You're not the first person, et cetera, et cetera. 2 years ago, just the other day, was 2 years from the Woolsey fire, where hundreds of people lost their homes, everything. Thankfully, we didn't lose our home, but we had so much stuff that was smoke damage that we had to basically reinvent ourselves from square two, not square one. And people go through it. People go through stuff, and it's hard. But if you believe in yourself, that you can trust and you can start to build the tools it takes to get through those things, you will get through it, I promise. And trust in the universe. So this is another one too, kind of like belief in yourself, because belief in yourself, in my opinion, is directly correlated to your trust in the universe. The universe on this big grand scale. Sun rises, sun sets. You think about somebody they call. All these different kinds of things are actually part of this unconscious, not subconscious, but unconscious plane that's happening. And if think about it as intuition, Deepak Chopra did this great program called Synchro of Destiny, where you're co-creating with this universe. Some people who are a bit more religious call it faith, and having faith that things will show up when you need them to show up. But trust in the universe, and that is a big, big deal, because when things get tough and the unknown hits you and you don't believe you have the capability to get through it, well, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know if I'm going to get through this. That's immediately you're telling yourself, this gets into psychology, right? But immediately you're telling yourself that you don't think you're going to be able to do it, as opposed to shifting that mindset a little bit and saying, okay, I've never done this before. What do I need to make it happen? That's a hugely different message that goes through your energetic system, right? What do I need to make this happen? That's a big difference than, I don't think I can do it. So trust in yourself, believe in yourself, and trust the universe. And finally, this too shall pass. This too shall end. If you haven't heard that, I know you've heard it before. So whether it's the pandemic, whether it's the election, current administration, next administration, the next administration is going to end too. So if you're on the other side of things, then, you know, eventually that's going to end too. And our lives are going to end too. And your kids' lives are going to end too. And your parents' lives are going to end too. And everything is going to pass. This day, if you're not having a good one, will pass. The moment, right? All these things are going to, and if we can just trust, and all these little my three little things here to add to this, how to deal with the unknown, are all on the more ethereal side, spiritual side, mental side, in my opinion, belief, because I think that self-talk is more important than your actions. You have to take actions. Coupled with the actions needs to be an improved self-talk, an encouraging self-talk. And one of the first episodes I did was inner coach versus inner critic. Notice your mindset. Do you have this inner coach that's just like, you can't do it, you're not going to do it, it's too stressful, I can't believe it, all this, or is it, take a breath, we've never been here before, but we have the capability. We are resourceful enough to be able to find what we need, to create what we need to get through. And the truth is, you are, and I am, and we are. So, those are my quick tips for you today on this episode number 14 of Conscious Endurance. If you don't already subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do that. Go to youtube.com/TeddyMcDonald1. And then again, go to consciousendurance.com, sign up for that network, the platform of people, and join us in living a healthy, active 100 plus years. Thank you very much, you guys. I'll be back next week with a similar topic about how we can deal with reducing stress.